And just to riff a little bit, this is all coming together, right? The regulation, the great power conflict, the cyber insecurity. Greg is 100% right that we can't. The problem with a total war or a major conflict today is that we live in the nuclear age, right? That wasn't the case, with World War II, which brought the end of the last long-term debt cycle, to use the Ray Dalio parlance. One of the nice things about Bitcoin is we live, as we know, we live in this totally insecure internet, right? I was having a conversation with a friend who actually works in cybersecurity, and the way I frame it now when I talk to people about cybersecurity is, hey, I've got this great idea. It's called the internet. And what we're going to do is we're going to connect all the electronic devices in the world to an open, insecure communication platform. How do you think that's going to go? I'm imagining like I'm pitching this idea, 40 years ago. And the answer is, well, it doesn't go that great if you don't have security built into the system. And of course, I mean, I'll speak for myself. I did not understand internet insecurity until I started understanding Bitcoin. And I started understanding that, public key cryptography is crucial, number one. Number two, storing your data locally makes it much, much, much harder to be attacked because it's not all in one single honeypot. And so I do think that with time, Congress people, other people in power are going to realize that Bitcoin is the first real sizable instance of any internet native phenomenon that is truly secure because it's truly decentralized. And they will make a safe space for Bitcoin and similar projects that actually are decentralized and may give us a shot at re-architecting the internet with greater security. Now, of course, a lot of that is snake oil and XYZ, crappy crypto projects are gonna pitch their idea and try to raise money like they already have on that basis. But in the long run, it will, I think, be to the benefit both of Bitcoin and to the internet and to all of us citizens. And maybe by re-architecting the internet somewhat over time, we'll be better positioned to defend against attacks from great powers, whether it be China or anybody else. Now, I don't know if it'll happen fast enough. We'll see.
I mean, it's similar to what happened with the internet itself. And China just took this very aggressive stance against, the internet and controlling it and being very wary of it at first, and then ended up building its own internet and cutting itself off from the rest of the world. Bitcoin is very similar to the internet itself in many ways. I mean, it's a network layer that's built on top of the internet. So it doesn't surprise me to see that sort of reaction coming from China. And I don't think it's going to change that much. So yeah, I think you're right, Greg. Like, let's take advantage of that mistake. And the mining industry is taking off in the U.S. and
it gives me the opportunity to shout out your funding of that movie.
I was just going to do that. I'll let you do it.
Well, no, I was a proud contributor to that project as well. And I'm an engineer, guys. Everything breaks down for me very simply along the lines of conservation of energy, physics, math. It's for me, it's quite simple just to analyze different things. This Machine Greens was a great effort, and there's stuff in there that everybody can benefit from the knowledge that's imparted by the likes of Melton Demers and Lynn Alden and Nick Carter, and these were just people that these people are absolute. They're plowing fields for the rest of us. That's we're just lucky to have them. It was great. And the truth is, look, I'm involved in a power company that is doing the stuff that we're talking about. Energy and advances in energy are associated with every single advancement in human productivity and quality of life. And there's certain movements in the ESG space that are sometimes negative, but Bitcoin can actually bridge those gaps. And Bitcoin mining is the proof of work is a thing of beauty. I often the difficulty adjustment in Bitcoin itself. I'm a little bit of a tangent, but the point is some of this stuff was so brilliant. You have to ask yourself that who designed this? Were they actually from another world? This is an advancement that is so leaps and so exponentially incredible. You wonder if this was imparted upon us by a third, an outer extraterrestrial. Now, I've already offended the communists, so now I'm going to offend the extraterrestrial people. Look, at the end of the day, I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm trying to as a guy that spent 58 years old, spent 35 years in financial markets trading risk. This is the best asymmetric trade opportunity I've ever seen. And we can't get these knuckleheads to understand. Like, it's almost like I'm against it because it uses 0.1% of the global energy in the world. So I've got to be against it. You don't last long when you're that, closed-minded or pig-headed. You get carted off a trading floor, okay? When the information changes, change your position or get carted off the trading floor.
I'll just comment real quick on the development of Bitcoin. And it does seem like that it's yet another gradually then suddenly innovation or a thing that happens in Bitcoin. We refer to it all the time. It comes up all the time. And this is another case of it. The pieces of Bitcoin were built over 50 years plus. Cryptography obviously came around and really became an advanced mathematics discipline in and of itself when computers came around. Of course, it was being used way back in World War I as well. But cryptography was there. And then the idea of digital currency came around in the 80s, 90s. There were many projects that were tried. They were always failed because they were too centralized. Proof of work, Adam Back invented to reduce spam and to pay for emails, basically. And then Bram Cohen invented peer-to-peer networking with BitTorrents that was really robust peer-to-peer networking and not too centralized like Napster was to be taken down. And BitTorrent protocol is alive and well and will persist in a decentralized way well into the future. And then the big innovation of, Nakamoto put all those together, but the big innovation was that difficulty adjustment, which had never been applied or thought about in terms of proof of work. And that was absolutely essential and makes the whole thing come together. Of course, the game theory and everything was brilliant and put together too. So the way that all the pieces were put together was absolutely genius. And then that difficulty adjustment was another stroke of genius. So it's gradually...
A shout out to Adam Back at this point. Something that went under the radar for I didn't think got nearly as much coverage as it should have. When they raised, I think he raised $300 million at over $3 billion valuation or something like that. So great on him. But more importantly, some of that use of proceeds may go into the manufacturing of ASICs chips in the West. And this is just all good. I don't, Bitcoiners, we are optimistic in the face of some tremendously pessimistic news. But we're optimistic for a reason. This isn't made up stuff, okay? This is based on math and code, very simple and very easy to get your head around. If you've even taken, your standard grade 11 or high school math, I mean, you should be able to understand this pretty simply.
Yeah, look at the setup. I mean, look at the facts and circumstances in the year 2021. You do have some movement on institutional investment. You have, this huge overhang risk of minor concentration in China gone. You have regulators in the West, especially the US, cracking down on things that are not Bitcoin, right? Things that are confusing potential investors, average people on the street, like, oh, I got to buy, a diversified portfolio of the 100 shitcoins. No, those are all illegal securities, but Bitcoin isn't. The
Bitcoin only for the win, by the way.
That's right. And then, you've got the mining industry absolutely blossoming, especially in places like Texas and in a jurisdiction or a jurisdictional system in which states actually do have significant rights to fight on behalf of positive commercial activity. Even if the federal government doesn't agree with how energy is being expended in that case.
Shameless shout out for my own power company. Canada's better than Texas because our ambient air temperature is substantially lower than Texas is, okay? And it makes for Bitcoin mining much more efficient. We have lots of energy in Canada too. My company's in touch with 2 gigawatts. 2 gigawatts, guys, that's 2,000 megawatts. That's about 1/5 of the entire Bitcoin network right here in Canada.
Love it.
You know, this is big. An entire province like the province of Saskatchewan could change if they embrace Bitcoin mining. I'm telling you, and it's happening. I'm not sure if you saw a company called Crew Energy, a publicly traded company called Crew Energy, is mining Bitcoin using their, stranded natural gas. Like, come on, it doesn't get more simple than this.
Go to Canada. No liquid cooling required. Just open the window, right?
As an engineer, you don't always want to put your stuff in liquid if you don't have to. Okay, it's sort of simple. Okay, you might want to put your head in a liquid thing of beer, but you don't want to have to immerse your Bitcoin miners in liquid if you don't have to.
This is all. These are all good points. Making good cases. What's the name of your mining company?
It's called Validus. Well, it's an energy company. It's called Validus Power. It's a privately held company in Canada. I have some great partners. We actually have contracts with HUD 8, so publicly traded HUD 8. We have announced, I think, 100 megawatts with them. It's other things on the burner, but we got 2 gigs, and 2 gigs is a lot of power, you guys. Just to put it in context, you can run a small city on about 100 megs. Okay, so we got a lot of power in Canada, and rightly so. Canada has a lot of valuable natural resources. If Canada gets on the ball, and I know they won't do this, but imagine if we started pricing our energy in Bitcoin. Imagine if we had a prime minister who actually had a brain and said, we're going to use these natural resources to our benefit rather than crapping all over them all the time. Okay. Vlad Putin is thinking about this. Vlad Putin is thinking about pricing Russia's oil and natural gas in Bitcoin. I guarantee you. Okay. And once that happens, Bitcoin becomes the reserve asset of the world, not reserve currency, the reserve asset. Bitcoin is digital energy. You might as well sell your natural resource energy for digital energy. It only makes sense from the perspective of an engineer.
Well, maybe an even more impressive illustration of the amount of power that Greg's company has is that he could run Doc Brown's DeLorean, which only needs 1.21 gigs of power. So that's extremely impressive.
Good Lord, Marty. Good Lord, Marty. Do you know that?
What can you, imagine how much Bitcoin you can mine with some time travel. That's where, I don't know. If this hasn't come up at your board meeting yet, then I'll take credit for it. You can throw me some stock.
Hey, the bigger thing is when the world starts understanding that nuclear energy is the cleanest, most reliable energy source ever, safe. 100%. The education process is so hard and so high, and it's just another thing. You got these knuckleheads at the United Nations running around with half-baked ideas that are supported by failed. Certainly they didn't take math and science. They took anyway, I don't want hate mail from the people, those other people. I'm going to get enough hate mail. So just understand that this is an opportunity that I want North America to embrace because it makes sense.